For all you racist people, I would advise y'all to log off because this is really going to get up under your racist skin. Now, in the book Anacalyptus, on page 134, where it's right here, it reads, on the first view, it seems rather an extraordinary circumstance that the statues of the gods of the ancients should be represented of a black color. This coming from Godfrey Higgins, a European scholar, book written in 1836. Okay, let's just get this clear. Let us keep it pushing. Of course, we know, according to Mr. Maurice, says that Osiris II, the black divinity of Egypt, in Creona, the sable shepherd god of Matriel, have the striking similitude of character, initiated by Mr. Wilford, cannot be disputed, any more than that Krishna. So this is Krishna. So he's saying Krishna and Osiris are black divinity gods. They're both the same in skin tone, that is. Let's keep it pushing. Remember, Mr. Maurice, as the reader sees, states him to have been seen black, and that Memphis, or a sacred bull of Heliopolis, the symbol of Osiris was also black. Osiris is allowed also to be the Siva or Shiva of India. So Siva would be Shiva, one of the three persons of the Indian god Brahma, Vishnu, or Krishna in Shiva, or Siva, of whom the bull of the zodiac was the symbol. We're going to keep it going. The word Osiris. He's going into the etymological root of these words. Garfield Higgins. We have to give him much credit because he kept it real. Unlike most of these people that's whitewashing shit. The word Osiris may be a Greek word composed by the Greeks, but remember the Greeks were taught by so-called black people, which are the Etruscans. So technically the Greek language is what we would consider an African language. Now, by the Greeks from which their own emphatic article, O, in the Hebrew word, I can't read it in Hebrew, but Shir, written with their customary termination, I guess that's Osiris, the meaning of the Hebrew word is black. The one meaning of the word is evidently the black, or the black god, or the black god. This is confirmed by Plutarch in his treatise De Aslit et Osirit. So, on the color of the gods of the ancients, said the identity of them all with the god Saul, and with the Krishna of India, nothing more need to be said. Nothing more need be said. Okay, so they done said basically all of these languages when it come to these gods. Okay, as Maurice flatters himself by the word Krishna in the Indian language signifying black. So he's saying that all these ancient gods were black. I don't care how you put it. And the god being of that color when he was informed. Now let us take a journey through the ancient world of Kemet. Now, one thing that you will notice is that all of these statues look like so-called black people. Africans, indigenous, aboriginals, bronze skin, copper colors, aboriginals, so-called black people. Every last one of them. But yet, they are trying to whitewash our history, or better yet, give the credit to some alien. Meanwhile, the statues, the glyphs show otherwise. Not saying that they didn't help though. Look at the beautiful architecture of what our ancestors left for us to show us our greatness. So all of that DNA that produced such wonderful monuments is still within us. There will come a time when that DNA will awaken in us. Now it is today referred to as junk DNA, but it's only dormant memory. And all of that creativity will come right back to the surface. Let us not forget that the scientists of today clarify that so-called black people have extraterrestrial DNA in them. So we have the genes of the gods, or Anunnaki, or the Watchers, or what we would refer to as extraterrestrials. Now we know from study that the 3 pyramids in Giza was built by Sennacherib, Khafre, and Thoth the Atlantean. Although Khufu put his name on the pyramid built by Thoth the Atlantean after he reconstructed it. Again, let's never let them steal our identity. They have tried for long periods of time, even until the point to where they have whitewashed our history. They have stolen our inventions, put their names on it, patent our inventions to where we wouldn't get any revenue. But the thing that they could never do is get rid of the carvings, the statues, the hieroglyphs, the monuments, the faces of the so-called African, but the black man and woman. They could never get rid of that. So at least hold on to your ancient legacy and know who you are, because you are the greatest. You are the one that is marveled at more than any other being in the world. They are still marveling on how these pyramids were built, but yet they want to give credit to an outside source like an alien. But you don't find no aliens in there. If you do, you're gonna find 1 or 2%. Why don't they teach about ancient Kemet in school? They'll teach you all about Greece, Rome. But why won't they teach about the ones that taught the Greeks how to even speak a language, how to even build society, mathematics, astrology, how to read? Yet while Christian Europe was illiterate, 99% of them. This history is not taught in school due to white supremacy.
Above the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid are 5 further chambers, and these chambers are roofed and floored with granite beams that weigh about 70 tons each. And there are hundreds of them. And these 70-ton granite beams, which, to put in context, a 70-ton beam is equivalent in weight to 35 large SUVs. These 70-ton granite beams have been elevated to a height of more than 350 feet above the ground and carefully and precisely placed in position. It is very hard for archaeologists to explain how that was done using purely leverage and mechanical advantage. You can say, oh, perhaps they built a ramp and hauled the stones up the ramp. But then you have to confront basic laws of physics. You can't haul a stone weighing tens of tons up a slope that exceeds 10 degrees.
Y'all can't tell me our ancestors wasn't off the chain. Look at the architecture of the chair. The chair made out of gold. Caucasians saw gold and went mad, went crazy over gold, killing each other. We just use it for anything.
But these mystery schools were put in place, and the very first ones, according to the Emerald Tablets, were started by Thoth, right? He's known as Tahuti or Jehudi in Africa. And he would use this system of teaching where he would get only adept initiates. In other words, hand-picked people that for whatever reason he felt they had the privilege, they deserved the privilege of hearing this sacred knowledge and information that he had carried, that had been passed on to him for eons and eons, he says. And so in these classes in schools, it would be philosophy, esoteric wisdom, scientific knowledge, everything from sacred geometry to quantum physics, to understanding the philosophy of the world, understanding higher dimensions, how to travel to dimensions. I mean, we're talking about the most incredible set of information or knowledge that you can get anywhere was in these mystery schools, and you had to be handpicked to be able to get in, which Yeshua, we talked about earlier from the Bible, aka Jesus, was one of these handpicked adept initiates at the age of 12, which is incredible. And then their job was to keep this information and knowledge sacred so it would pass on through time. The problem that we have is once these quote unquote gods disappeared or left the planet, or maybe even some died, the people who were in control of the information and the secrets of these mystery schools began to fractalize and form out these secret societies. And these secret societies like Skull and Crossbones and Illuminati and so forth and so on, there's a million of them. They all realized that, wow, there is a force that exists, but the force is neutral. It can be good or it can be evil. It's up to the wielder of the knowledge. And they began to realize that if they can wield the knowledge in one direction, they can have an enormous amount of power and control over masses and extreme wealth. And so these secret societies all came out of ancient Egyptian mystery schools. And then they began to utilize the knowledge and the power and the light for darkness, because it works both ways. And they still have a heavy grasp on the majority of civilization till this very day.
Now I want you to pay close attention to this Sphinx. On the side of the ear, at the very bottom, there is some little incision there. Now remember in the Emerald tablets, those said that he hid his spaceship under the Great Sphinx of Egypt. And he said that there was a secret compartment under the ear of the Sphinx that would cause the Sphinx to move in a time of need when we would be able to go to war with some outside invasion. And we would be able to use his spaceship as a mechanism of defense.
I believe they found the Sphinx already created and already heavily eroded, and that they then recarved its head into the head of a pharaoh. And that head, as Robert Schoch and others have pointed out, way too small in relation to the body. That makes sense if it was a heavily eroded lion head, which was then later cut down into the head of a pharaoh. The geology speaks to the original Sphinx being more than 12,000 years old.
Egypt has many mysteries to uncover. One of the most awe-inspiring is that of the Sphinx, which was covered in sand until the mid-1900s. There is a clear separation in building techniques and abilities shown all over Egypt. From the roughly carved hieroglyphs scribbled onto perfectly carved over 500-ton megalithic blocks of granite, to the unsophisticated pottery cast out of clay in an effort to resemble the perfectly symmetrical granite vases that are clearly made from a more advanced knowledge.
We can't go back. They had us chained, they got our backs. We held our breath in bluish seas. Our bodies thrown into the deep. They have grows, they have closed. They're ready for anyone and anything that knows the truth you seek, the truth out there. It bangs on your door, grips on your bones, and has you up at 3 in the morning. Oh, we're sweating and groaning, wondering where we'll begin at 3 in the morning. Oh, listening to the universe, the secrets are revealed. Ooh, ah, oh, oh, ah. Ooh, ooh, we can't go back, we can't go back. back. They had us chained, they got our backs. We held our breath in bluish seas. Our bodies thrown into the deep. They have ghosts, they have closed. They're ready for anyone and anything that knows the truth you seek, the truth out there. It bangs on your door, grips on your bones, and has you up at 3 in the morning. Oh, we're sweating and groaning, wondering where we'll begin at 3 in the morning. Oh, listening to the universe, the secrets are revealed. Ooh, ah, oh, oh, ah. Ooh, ooh, we can't go back.
Now we must question stuff like this. Why don't they show this part of ancient Egypt? Why don't they show the connection between us and the Galactic Federation? Why do they hide this type of stuff? Why do they hide the influence or the connection in which we had with our star brothers and sisters? This is the stuff that they keep hid, the small 2%. We been had this technology, y'all. You see it?